Valdari sat hunched over his desk in the corner of his bookstore, the inked vein, his quill scratching rhythmically across the parchment. By candlelight, the dim shelves loomed with old tomes and scrolls, filled with secrets that were best left forgotten. The scent of aged leather and dust hung heavy in the air as Valdari's pale, slender fingers moved deftly, recording the latest details of yet another attack. "The raven strikes again," he wrote, his quill tip pressing harder than he intended. This time, a merchant found in the Bloody Fangs district, his throat slit from ear to ear, his eyes pecked out, and a black feather placed upon his tongue. He dipped his quill in the ink pot and let out a low sigh, the blackness swirling in the small glass bottle like some accursed omen. The Raven. The name alone sent a chill through the usually unfazed vampire scribe. His crimson eyes flickered towards the half-shuttered window, where beyond the frosted glass the city of Na-Zaii was alive with the murmur of countless souls, the living and the dead, bustling about, blissfully unaware that the shadows had grown darker, more dangerous. For weeks now the bodies had been appearing, always in different districts, always with the same sinister calling card. Valdari's sources whispered that the Raven was not just some lone madman, but rather a harbinger of a more profound danger, something that had taken root in Na-Za'i's veins, spreading like a sickness. The attacks were too precise, the locations too deliberate. Each victim had some connection, however tenuous, to the Vampire Guild. That clandestine network that had its talons wrapped around the city's darkest corners. Valdari knew well the game they played. He had written about their underhanded dealings, cataloguing their histories with the same steady hand that now trembled faintly as he considered the implications. He set down the quill and leaned back in his creaking chair, the leather of his coat rustling as he folded his arms. The Raven's latest victims were no accidents. They were messages. The Guild's secrets that Valdari himself had helped to seal away, were being torn open like old wounds. The killer was cutting through the layers of protection that shrouded the Guild's darkest endeavors. It would only be a matter of time before the Raven reached something truly damning, something that would draw the eyes of the Corpse Kings themselves. The vampire scribe ran a cold hand through his dark hair, glancing at the rows of books that lined the shelves, each spine etched with titles forgotten to time. Knowledge was a powerful weapon, one he had wielded for centuries. But now it seemed as though the Raven had taken that weapon and turned it against the city, against him. Valdari rose from his chair, the familiar ache of his old bones settling in. He wandered through the narrow aisles of his shop, tracing a finger along the dusty spines of ancient grimoires, their cracked bindings whispering secrets as he passed. He reached a shelf in the back, a section obscured by shadows, where his private collection lay hidden behind a curtain of tattered velvet. Books that could destroy lives with a single passage, volumes that spoke of the Vampire Guild's true nature, and a handful of documents that even the Raven would find most useful. "What do you want, Raven?" he murmured to the empty air. "What are you hoping to uncover? And at what cost?" The thought tightened like a noose around his throat. If the Raven continued his bloody work, it would only be a matter of time before he exposed the Guild's delicate web of influence and betrayal, pulling the whole city into chaos. Worse still, some of those secrets were not merely dangerous to the Guild, they were dangerous to Valdari himself. The old vampire had spent decades carefully erasing certain details about his past, threads of history that connected him to events best left unspoken. Valdari turned back to his desk and picked up the quill once more, hesitating for a heartbeat before dipping it in the ink again. He wrote a final line in the journal. "The Raven is not just a threat, he is a herald. If this continues, I fear he may well unmake Na-Zaii itself. The kind of cold that crept beneath the flesh and took hold of the spirit. For the first time in centuries, Valdari was uncertain of his next move. The inked vein was more than just a bookstore. It was a sanctuary, a place where truths could be obscured beneath layers of ink and parchment. But even here, the shadows were becoming restless. He knew he could not do this alone.